New York Fashion Week was happening. The hustle, the chaos, the running from show to show, the outfits. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't there. I didn't really care about being seen, running around the shows. I didn't want that sense of urgency for my life. I also didn't want to feel away, right? Because that's what Fashion Week brings to me. It brings high anxiety. So I chose Paris instead. Not for fashion, but for love. And sometimes the most radical thing you can do in a world that glorifies movement is to just pause. So this weekend wasn't about being seen, it was about seeing each other again. And we needed it. So let's go to Paris. But things don't always go as planned. I did not make my flight today. And it was so crazy because something in my body, like it was like intuition, it was something in the pit of my stomach that was telling me that my passport was not right. So, in order to travel to France as a US passport holder, right, your departure date has to be within 3 months of your expiration date, which is fine because I thought that my passport was expiring in August. Easy peasy. Going here and I'm finishing my packing and I'm cracking jokes with my husband and we're just going on about our day and we go to the airport and we give the young lady our passports and I see her looking at the monitor when she is like scanning my passport and I got this like big ass chunk in my throat. And I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna tell me that I'm not gonna, like, she's gonna turn me away. So my husband is like, what's going on? And she's like, the system is not accepting your passport, ma'am. So, but still at this point, I still think that my passport is expiring in August. So I'm just like, no, like, that can't be. I don't know why. So she went to go get the manager and this whole big scene. And they were like, yeah, miss, your passport is expired in April. So that is less than 3 months prior to your departure date. You cannot get on this flight. And it's not much you could do, right? Like it is federal regulations, it is the law. You just can't, fly. And even if, Delta allowed me to go, I'd have got stopped at customs in France, in Paris. So there are agencies that can get me a 1 day passport. Like I can go in and get the passport that same day. So we agreed for my husband to go because we just didn't want anything to happen with our hotels. We didn't want to have to not show up and then there's some issues with the hotel. They take our money and then we have like shows. We have shows reserved and paid for and things like that. So it's just like a lot of money on the line for both of us to stay and figure out this passport thing. So it was very tough for my husband to leave. He was just like, no, we can, just forget about the money. But I really want to go to Paris. And so I was just like, just go. You go for 1 day. I'll be there the next day. But what this day has told me or taught me is that I need to slow down. And I know I need to slow down. And I've been saying this to myself for the past year. But today, right, I think this is like the biggest, like, not the biggest, but like, I think this is like the third thing that happened to me that resulted in lack of planning, lack of urgency, and just moving too fast. It is not working. And I have to stop and pause. It's just these little things that's reoccurring in my life that's signaling me to slow down. Like I think God is telling me, you have to slow down. And for one, you have to slow down just to reflect and be in the moment and just enjoy life. Like everything just can't be so fast. But on the other flip side, like I have to slow down to get my business and things in order. But it just made sense for him to go and get our things situated and move things around in person versus trying to call up and talk to someone that is speaking French and we can't. And you know what I mean? Like the comms are not calming. The communication is not communication. Communicating. The communication is not communicating. Right? Okay. I think that's it. So guys, learn from me. Slow down, plan, look at your documents. I feel like we had this conversation already, but I'm just saying in life in general, there's times where we just have to slow down, put systems in place, put routines in place just to ensure the most efficient and productivity out of our lives to just mitigate risk, because this is a huge inconvenience and I'm super sad. And we were very, very excited and looking forward to our little weekend getaway in Paris for Valentine's Day. And I'm here. So I'm about to go to sleep. I look like what I've been through today. So I'm going to go to sleep and get up in the morning. And we're going to try this again tomorrow. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully in Paris. Okay. Good night.
Sun rays on my backseat when now I'm driving through city. Time stops when I'm with ya. So my time with you is endless, and I feel the way you're watching.
So God was on my side. I got the passport. And I got it in 3 hours. So we're off to Paris. I have a crazy fear of flying. Not the cute kind, the real kind, where your heart is in the pit of your stomach. Every movement of the plane you feel, every sound you're questioning, that's me. It's pure fear. Even when they put on the seatbelt sign, I immediately go into prayer mode. But you know what? I travel anyway, because freedom lives on the other side of fear. And how else would I be able to see the world? And through the crazy turbulence, I turn around and see a familiar face. This is Moreno from Italy. He works with me at Coach. He is just coming off of the Coach runway, and we were on the same plane. And it felt so good to see a familiar face through all of that turbulence, because I was literally scared. There's something special about airports. Everyone is going somewhere, right? Either they're reuniting or escaping reality or beginning again. Every safe landing feels like a gift, and I don't take that for granted anymore, or ever. Traveling isn't just a luxury for me, it's a privilege. And I'm grateful every single time my feet touch the ground somewhere new. So we made it to Paris, and this is the first thing I do when I get there. I need to unpack. It's kind of like a way for me to decompress, right? Reflect on the flight that I just got off of or any cool things that I've seen on my way to the hotel. It just feels right. So I unpack immediately because I also need order. I need to feel calm. I need my things laid out. I need them hung up and just put away. It's how I turn a hotel into a home. Comfort for me is preparation, right? I get to see all my outfits. I get to replay and reflect on the itinerary. It just gives me order. And I don't know if it's the Virgo in me, but chaos has never been my aesthetic. It rained the entire first day, like the entire day. I had to change up my look just to make sure that I stayed dry. But you know what? Somehow it made it feel way more romantic. Paris in the rain feels like a movie you're living. We weren't rushing. We had no, schedule for the day. We had no calls at work. We didn't phone home. It was just warm cafes and some pastries that felt good, right? We got to sit still and just chill and relax. For a second, I forgot I was visiting. I felt like a Parisian, right? It was slow, we were present, we was observant, we hit up the cafes. It was really nice. There's a beauty in not performing your life, right? Not being performative, not having to do things for other people. It's just living in it, just living in the moment. But of course I had to capture, right? I had to capture some footage. But we had a good time. It was nice. Next stop, Louise Carmen. I've wanted a Louise Carmen journal for so long, but I didn't want to order it online. I wanted the experience. So we went to Louise Carmen and I was super excited. That was the first thing we went to. Like I didn't want to go luxury shopping. I didn't want to go to the mall. I wanted to go to Louise Carmen. So we spent about an hour or so choosing leather, choosing charms, the different inserts in the journal, the size of the journal. It felt intimate, like I was designing a home for my thoughts. Lately, I've been craving reflection, not just documenting my outfits, but documenting my fears, my prayers, my goals, my dreams. Because growth requires honesty. And yes, my Virgo heart needed the journal to feel like me. It needed to be structured, it needed to be beautiful, it needed to be intentional. And I even convinced Terrence to get one because reflection is better when it's shared. This wouldn't be a Chi vlog without a rant. It just wouldn't be a vlog without a rant. The one thing that irks me about hotels is when things just don't make sense. Like, why am I in a bathroom and there's no outlets? Like, why am I in this bathroom? No outlets. The only outlet is a shaver outlet, and you cannot use a converter for this outlet to be able to use your American plugs. But even if I wanted to use a dryer, I cannot use the one outlet that is in the bathroom. So that means I have to do my hair in the room. Like things like that grinds my gears. What the entire F? Terrence.
Yeah.
They fixing it?
He said talking about you gotta pull it. I'm like, no, that door is open. That door is all the way open.
So what are they doing?
They sending up somebody now. They said, is anything missing? I said, no, not that I know of.
Oh.
They said, all right, we sending somebody right now. But the mechanic was like, oh yeah, they just gotta pull it. But no, I just pulled it. And
Yeah.
that shit is just open.
Wait, did you realize there's no plug?
In the bathroom?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that. That's crazy.
Like, if you wanted to use the hair dryer, which they supply, you
Where do
can't
plug
use it. Where you gonna plug it up? So you gotta do your hair in the room.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is going to grind my gears. Oh my God, I'm sitting on the bed with my outside clothes. Whew. Wait, see, look, I'm doing like a little wave here. So let's show you how I do my wave. I take a big barrel curling iron. This is a Conair. I had this curling iron for about 10 years, probably even longer. So I kind of do it as if I was doing like a little Shirley Temple curl, but I leave some of the ends out. Like I don't curl those ends, right? Well, it's not the best view because I thought I was gonna be in a bathroom to show you guys this. But I love how the curls come out. So you kind of leave it there for a little bit and then you unravel it. And then here's the most important part. You're gonna just bring the curling iron down this way. What it does is straighten the ends, but keep your curl. A technique that I learned from my stylist. She does beach waves really good. Typically I would have like some spray that I would spray the hair with, but I don't have it. Kenra has a really nice holding spray that doesn't leave your hair like gooky and like feels like product on your hair and stiff and hard. it still maintains the softness of your hair. So you're gonna unravel it, and you're just gonna bring it down. There you go. Yep, and I'm gonna do that all around my head, and that's it. Okay, I'll be back. So that night, we wanted something upbeat but still romantic. So we went to Caesar, the kind of place where the lights are low, the music was just loud enough, and every table felt like its own little world. I wanted to match the energy of the night, so I wore a lace blouse, black shorts, and sheer white tights, all black. It's something about all black that just screams sexy, and I wanted to make sure that I was intentional and that we felt that energy. The cocktails were strong and the Italian food was so good. And everywhere you looked, every couple was there leaning in, laughing, and just celebrating love. It really was a good night. Good food, good drinks, great conversation, and we just took it all in. It was very romantic. It's so funny. I typically don't like walking in the rain, but that night I wanted to walk in the rain and just hold hands and just be in the moment. So we walked towards the Champs-Élysées. I think that's how you pronounce it. A street I've seen in plenty of my favorite movies like Devil Wears Prada and Sex in the City. And though I've been to Paris so many times, I've never been to this area. I've never been able to see it for whatever reason. So, yes, I ran across the wide Parisian street like the main character that I am, trying not to get hit. It was slightly dramatic, but completely worth it. Immediately when I crossed the street, I was welcomed by the security and they urged me to go back. So it wasn't perfect weather, but it was a perfect night. And of course, Terrence stayed behind because he likes to mitigate the risk. We ended the night with a little nightcap at a local bar that was really pretty inside. And that's how we ended it. We just enjoyed each other, we talked, and that's it. Loving your 40s is like that. Sometimes you don't have to, do all of the dramatics. It's just about connecting. It's more just choosing one another and doing that on purpose. That's what love in your 40s feel like. No grand gestures, just love. No matter where I am in the world, my morning routine stays sacred. Traveling is exciting, it's romantic, and it disrupts everything. But some things don't get disrupted for me, and my skincare is one of them. Consistency is what keeps skin balanced, right? Not the trends, not the new launches, not products, just discipline. So I packed my essentials, my La Roche-Posay cleanser and moisturizer. I absolutely love using these two products on vacation. They're reliable, they're gentle, and they're never dramatic, right? They don't do anything to my face but do what it needs to do. Caudalie has become a new favorite since my Sephora trip and I was introduced to the product. It's very lightweight, it's effective, and it's refined, right? It feels so good on the skin. And I've been loving the YSE vitamin C serum lately. It's bright, active, and intentional. It does exactly what it needs to do. And of course, my tried and true Paula's Choice exfoliant. She does not get left behind. I absolutely love this product. Even on vacation, especially on vacation, because when your environment changes, your routine needs to ground you. And skincare for me isn't about a glow, it's about care, it's about self love, it's about showing up for myself every single day. Whether I'm in hotel rooms, the airports, or at home, it gets done. Discipline is a form of self respect, and I do not negotiate with that.
What you go through, every parent goes through. Here's you, and here's your child. And how do you balance that? How do you make it work? A 4-year-old doesn't need much, but they do need something. They need, at times, to come first.
After I got out the shower, I like to have something to watch, right? So this particular morning, I was watching Homeland. I'm watching Homeland again because of the times right now. I just feel like rewatching that series is appropriate. But there's a scene where Carrie's therapist says, young children don't need much. They just need to be put first sometimes. And that line stayed with me. It actually stayed with me all day. And I think that was the purpose of this trip, right? Just making sure that my family knows that I choose them and I put them first. But it was very interesting that that line and that episode played while I was in Paris, right? I always want my family to know that I always choose them and I put them first. So I'm going to make sure that I continue to reinforce that and lean in. Remember, God shows up everywhere, even when you least expect it. So I've become a fragrance girly. Not casually, but very intentional. I know I've always worn perfume, but lately I've been studying it. I've been layering it, choosing it based off my mood. Fragrance is the first thing people feel before they even touch you, before they speak to you, or even before they even understand you, right? It's energy. And for Paris, I brought these two new scents that I got in PR. They're called Layered. One is Rise and the other one is Rebel. And honestly, it felt very on brand. So Rise is a peach and a pear scent, right? So it's very soft and dewy and bright. It also has neroli, iris, and some green tea. So it's very becoming, right? It's like growth. It's very feminine, but not too fragile. And I feel like Rise, that's who I am, right? When I'm grounded, I'm a little soft and intentional. And then we have Rebel, right? Rebel is like that gourmand, that jasmine, very vanilla, and it's very warm and addictive, right? Rebel doesn't ask for permission. She just walks and commands the room, right? And I feel like that's also myself. And with these two, I like to layer it because it becomes this very strong dimensional scent of soft and bold and sweet and grounded. Fragrance lets me decide how I want to be perceived without even saying a word. So it was time to hit the town and we wanted to go see the Louvre. And this day was very, very cold for some strange reason. And the lines were super long. So you know what? We decided not to go in, but just spend some time outside just loving the structure of the Louvre. And it's tricky, right? Traveling as a couple means everything becomes a selfie, right? You either have to take your pictures and then your spouse or your loved one has to take theirs, right? It's never a glamorous moment until a random photographer
What do you have?
came up
There's a
to
Sony.
us.
Ah, okay, 7C. That's good.
It's the vlog.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have the R5 too. Just good.
We're getting professional pictures done at the Louvre since we're not going in, so we might as well do this.
It's good. I had to check. Sorry. Yeah.
And just like that, we had professional photos in front of the Louvre Museum in Paris. I mean, see how God works? When you release control, things align. And I swear that was the theme of our trip. And Terrence kept saying it. Every time we found ourselves in a place where we were not expecting, he always said, this is where we were supposed to be. And it just worked out. So after the Louvre, we just went into, I don't know what district this was, maybe District 6? It was very neighborhood-ish. It was the neighborhood that had a lot of thrift stores and vintage stores. So we just did that, right? We wandered into some vintage shops. The shops are very tiny and packed and a little overpriced. You know, Paris vintage is not cheap. You know, we would like to think that, but it's not cheap. And that's what I learned going in and out of these stores. But it was nice, right? But I wasn't pressed to buy anything. The trip wasn't about consumption and shopping till we dropped. It was just about connection. And if we found something that we liked, then that was good, right? But it was all about slow walks and hidden cafes and, you know, doing romantic shit. But what we did was we did find this Caribbean spot. It was called BBC. And it was so good. It was in the middle of this Parisian neighborhood. And the flavors really felt like home. Terrence and I love a Caribbean dish, right? We at least eat oxtails or jerk chicken maybe once a week. So it was really good to stumble upon a Caribbean restaurant, and it wasn't bland. It was really, really good. The plantains, I ate them up. It was so good. So sometimes you have to travel far just to be reminded who you are. And we had a good time. After some failed attempts to vintage shop, we stumbled upon this cute little dark lounge in the corner of this neighborhood. It was a vibe. They had specialty drinks, and we just kind of chilled there for a minute before we headed back to the hotel. And that's one thing my husband gonna do, right? He's gonna find a nice, dim lit lounge bar to just kind of decompress, right? No, you can take the boy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take the Brooklyn out of the boy. And then after that, we just went to the hotel to get dressed for our evening dinner reservations for Valentine's Day. So we had a nice, quiet Valentine's Day dinner at this really cute Parisian restaurant called Après Patty. And we had some really great seafood and delicious drinks. Terrence found a guy outside that was selling flowers, so he went out and got me some flowers, which was so cute. And that's it. We didn't do much filming because we wanted some moments to be private, but the dinner was quite lovely. And then we ended the night watching the Eiffel Tower light up. There's something about that sparkle, it reminds you that even ordinary nights can feel magical. I mean, I know the locals hate it. They think it's hideous. They just think it's hideous. Do you remember that scene from Sex and the City? And we closed the evening at Coco. Good music, good drinks, and just that kind of joy that you just get with your loved one. The end of the day matters just as much as the beginning. Washing off makeup, wrapping your hair, washing off the noise, washing off the weight of the world. I've learned that how you close your day shapes how you open the next one. This trip wasn't extravagant. We didn't overshop, overconsume. It wasn't perfectly sunny. It wasn't overscheduled. We didn't plan a lot of things. It rained the entire time. And somehow that made it better. We wandered into cafes we didn't plan, stood outside the Louvre without tickets, ran across streets we probably shouldn't have, found Caribbean food in the middle of Paris, unexpected places, unexpected moments. We always ended up exactly where we were supposed to be, even when the plan changes, even when the forecast said rain. Choosing love doesn't always look dramatic. It's simple, and sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's stepping away from the spotlight. Sometimes it's missing Fashion Week, to sit across your husband at dinner and really see him and see us. Love in this season of my life feels steady. It feels intentional. It feels chosen. And that's the kind of love I pray for. I'm grateful for safe flights, warm beds, and for a man who still holds my hand in the rain and still will run out and get me flowers. For a family that knows no matter how big life gets, they are first. The world is loud, but nights like this remind me peace is a decision. And this weekend, I chose it. I chose normalcy. I chose presence. I chose us. And honestly, that feels like the greatest luxury of all.